On the night of May 10th, Russia launched an offensive in the Kharkiv direction. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that the army was ready for an attack and met the Russians with troops, brigades and artillery.
It is important that they can increase their forces and bring more troops in this direction. This is a fact, but our army and our military command were aware of this and calculated their capabilities to meet the enemy with fire. Now a fierce battle is underway.
An 11-year-old child and a 72-year-old woman were injured after shelling in Kharkiv. 12 private houses were damaged after the missile strikes. Rescuers extinguished the fire and evacuated the residents. The Russian occupants have intensified shelling in the northern direction. In particular, they are hitting the town of Volchansk. Shelling from rocket-propelled grenades, MLRSs and artillery continued throughout the night.
An attempted breakthrough by Russian forces was defeated. The enemy is intensifying its firepower and using the full range of artillery and targeted airstrikes. The defense forces and the State Border Guard Service, as part of the defense forces, are also fighting near Volchansk in the north of Kharkiv region. The attacks were repelled and fighting of various intensities continues.
Over the course of the day, the enemy launched airstrikes using guided bombs in the Volchansk direction. This was reported by the Defense Ministry, which described attempts by Russian saboteurs to break through the Kharkiv region as unsuccessful.
At around 5 a.m., the enemy attempted to break through our defense line under the cover of armored vehicles. As of now, these attacks have been repelled, and fighting of varying intensity is ongoing. Reserve units have been deployed to strengthen defense in this area of the front line. The Ukrainian defense forces continue to hold back the enemy's offensive. From the statement of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine on Telegram.
Experts believe that the Russian army is trying to test the strengths of the Ukrainian armed forces in this sector. For this purpose, it is conducting combat reconnaissance by sending Russian sabotage reconnaissance groups to the Ukrainian rear, but they failed to break through the Ukrainian defense line.
The Ukrainian armed forces are confidently holding their positions. Not a single meter has been lost. The enemy grouping does not pose a threat to Kharkiv. The Russians only have enough forces for provocations in the northern direction. Our authorities are working and fulfilling their duties. We urge the civilian population of border settlements to be in shelters, because for the enemy there is no difference to strike military infrastructure or unarmed civilians. Oleg Senyagubov, chairman of the Kharkiv Regional Military Administration on Telegram.
Kharkiv region authorities urge residents of Volchansk and Lipetsk directions of Kharkiv region to evacuate. The Center for Countering Disinformation under the National Security and Defense Council believes that the Russians do not have the forces for a large-scale offensive against Kharkiv, although the increase in the number of Russian troops in this direction is clearly visible.
Our military leadership said that by the end of May and the beginning of June they could bring troops that have already been trained and are ready to carry out combat tasks. I think they will be exhausted somewhere by the end of summer, by August at the earliest, because they now have at least tactical rotation in the Kupiansk and Liman directions.
The commander of the ground forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Lieutenant General Alexander Pavlyuk, said earlier in an interview with The Times that the Russians were going to try to capture Kharkiv and Sumy. In addition, Moscow is building plans to occupy not only Donetsk and Luhansk regions, but also Zaporizhia region. Reported by Anastasia Tarnavska, Victoria Smirnova, UATV News.